I'd like to welcome everyone this evening to the Richmond Planning and Zoning meeting. Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner DeGrant.
Here.
Commissioner Francis.
Here.
Commissioner Short.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Perkins.
Here.
Commissioner Miles.
Here.
Commissioner Still.
Here. Next on the agenda is the approval of the February 19th, 2025 meeting minutes. If everyone's had time to look at that and read it over, we'll get a motion on that, please.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, we approve the February 19th, 2025 meeting minutes. I'll second it.
Okay. Commissioner DeGrant.
Yes.
Commissioner Francis.
Yes.
Commissioner Short.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins.
Abstain?
Commissioner Miles.
Yes.
Commissioner Still.
Yes. Next on the agenda is a minute preliminary for Magnolia Point. Mr. Spencer.
Good evening, everyone. We are bringing before you tonight a revised preliminary plan for Magnolia Point. Most of you are familiar with this development. We've been working on it for several years now. We have through phases 7 are complete. We are currently working on design of phase 8, and during the course of that, we've decided that we needed to change the layout a little bit. In a meeting with Kevin and the other planning staff, he thought it good to bring it before you guys to take a look at these changes and get your opinions. I apologize, I forgot my laser pointer, so I'll explain the best I can here. If you remember the original plan, do you have one? On the original plan, this is Mission Drive right here. Mission Drive came straight through, had a little S-curve in it here, and came straight out onto Union City Road. There is a Tennessee gas transmission pipeline that cuts across the property right here. And working with Tennessee Gas and the grading on the property is going to make it extremely difficult to make that connection. So we played with some different layouts and came up with this option, which when we got done, we believe is actually a better layout anyway, because it keeps us from having this one just straight through street all the way from one end to the other. Now you've got to stop, go through some intersections, kind of traffic calming measure for the neighborhood. It also splits the traffic up depending on which lot you're going to. You're going to go down a different street. So we believe all in all it's a better layout. It's going to make the grading on what is now going to be Coventry Way. This will be a more gentle slope coming up the hill. And that's the main gist of what we changed. We still have the connection to Union City Road as we did before. We're still putting the bridge in. We still intend to proceed with construction in the same manner as we had talked about before, with making that connection before we start branching out into these areas. We've built to right there right now. So in our next phase, we'll make this connection from there down to Union City Road.
When are you going to need to start building the bridge?
A lot of money and a lot of dirt.
Well, I don't worry about the money. I just want to know about when are you going to start doing the bridge?
You say when? In this phase, when we build this phase, we're going to do the bridge.
Excuse me?
In this phase, we'll do the bridge.
So you just have one opening onto Union City?
Yes.
Is that enough for that many homes? And how many homes are there?
There's another exit.
It connects
Well,
also through to 4 Mile.
Yeah, no, but that's a ton of houses in between.
Right. There's not really a practical way to get another entrance onto Union City Road. So that's it's been approved with one entrance all along. Yeah, so we will be putting a turn lane in right here on Union City Road, going into the subdivision. This is basically a cliff line across here, so there's no way to make a road connection from here anywhere else.
Okay.
And if you did, all you would be doing is bringing the same traffic onto the same road just a few feet down.
And
When
you
we-
don't need to bring another one into Red House Road, onto Red House?
We don't have another connection there.
No connection there.
And y'all okay with that?
What are they going to do about getting that on the red houses, there are gonna be
bridge,
stoplights put up there. Have you talked to the state about
On the
that?
Red House?
Yeah.
That's up to the state.
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys had talked to them about it or not.
I've talked to them about it. The state says it is based 100% on accidents. And so when there's enough accidents, this is what I've been told, this is secondhand, I don't know for the state. I've been told when there's enough accidents and enough people get killed there, then there'll be a light there. But apparently there haven't been enough accidents.
So you're not to that point where you got to build the bridge yet?
Yes,
You are to it?
yes, this phase, we will be building the bridge.
Okay.
How many total homes are in Magnolia Point?
On here. 548 lots total when it's all built out.
Okay.
So we did have a traffic study done, so for the entrance, the connection to Union City Road, we've had a traffic study we presented last time when we presented this plan.
See, we've granted him ability to build so many houses. You weren't here then. It was Mr.
No, it wasn't.
Up to a point. And it's at phase 8. I wanted to make sure this was the last phase pretty well, till we get the bridge done. Because that's very important, because we only got one exit now and we need 2. So
Yeah, so this one has to have the connection to Union City Road because we've crossed the top of the hill. And all of our utilities now go to Union City Road. So we have to start at Union City Road and coming back. So we have to do the bridge this time.
So is that typical kind of to have 250 essentially go in one direction, 250 another? It seems, I don't know, I hope
It's
there are
re-
enough exits and entrances.
It's single-family residential. It sounds like a big number, but 250 lots doesn't really generate a huge volume of a rush of traffic.
Okay.
So no, there shouldn't be any issues. We can go through the county and look at other subdivisions that have, a couple hundred lots in them that have a single access. And, unless there's some other circumstance that causes a traffic problem, that, everybody's not leaving at the same time.
Okay.
the only reason you really want 2 exits is in case one gets stopped up and there's an emergency and you want to get out.
Right.
And you don't want the other one backed up too much either. So it's 2 of them minimum.
Yeah, and this is enough lots that it certainly warrants having, connection onto 2 different roads. The problem is a lot of times you get 2 entrances and they're on the same road, you haven't gained anything, right? Your stacking line is shorter, but you have 2 stacking lines, and this guy's still waiting on this guy that pulled out, and it still takes you the same amount of time to get out. But in this case, we have 2 accesses on completely different roads going different directions. So that's the best case scenario we can have.
Kev, you got anything?
That's reasonable.
Yes, once
Yeah, I mean,
Mr.
but he's
Spencer's
right on Red
done with
House
his
Road, too,
presentation.
You cannot get out any other way.
You can't because the railroad's there, so they couldn't go.
And you're just using Covenant Way, because that's an existing road out there right now, right?
Okay.
That pathway, you're just using that pathway to put this road in, Covenant Way?
No, Coventry's a new
Or
road.
Coventry, excuse me.
Talking about this road?
Yeah, it's new, but there's like an existing cut path out there already in that location, isn't there?
The connection point there is very close to where that existing driveway is, yes.
Well,
Roughly, just off the top of your head, what's the distance between the exit on Union City Road and the curve that takes you under the underpass?
500 feet?
okay. Did y'all build the dog park?
We did.
Okay, good. Okay.
And it's been, well, I can say that because I'm out that way just about every day and it's used.
Yeah.
I mean, you could almost use another one, as many people as they got out there. But I mean, it's nice, it's big enough
Yeah.
for what you
We have
got.
a dog park up, and we have some playground equipment in the family
Oh,
park,
good.
and lots of open green space
Should we have some
there.
for cats?
And we have
We
a
got the creek down
kind
there.
of an open recreation field down below where you cross the pond dam, you've got the big
Yeah.
lake on the left, we've got just a open recreation field there as well.
Put some fish in that pond down
There are. Most people have caught
But do you
them all.
live there?
there. I'm out there every day. No, I don't live
He just wanders. He shops all the time. He just wanders.
See, I'll go around and check these places out.
You know, your wife checks all the shopping out, and you just go with her.
Anything else, Mr.
That's all I've got, unless you guys have questions.
Kevin?
You know I'll talk. Tyler, take me down to the bottom left corner of this first page of the plat. Keep trucking. Oh, a little slow. Oh, right there, that'll work, if it'll stay there. Okay, I just want to bring to everyone's attention that this is something we did on some of the other plats, but right here, these are typical lot details that are displaying the types of building setbacks. Okay, so everybody's familiar with building setback. At some point in time, when these things start to take shape, Stuart has provided these details down here, and it depends upon how the house is basically oriented to the street. In some cases, when you get a corner lot, and that's kind of what these are dealing with. These are all corner lots. So what Stuart is displaying here is he's actually asking for a variance. And you can do that at this stage without the Board of Adjustments. So just pay attention that some of these, you know, this one's down, I can't really read that, my eyesight's horrible. I think that's 15, that's 20, and then I believe this might be 25. But these are going to apply as the house gets built. So if it's facing, in this one, this is your typical, so you got 25 this way and 25 that way. Now that's standard across the board. Nothing wrong with that. When you get to this one, alternate one, we may have 20, we have 20 here and 20 here. Well, that is now 5 feet. That's a 5-foot variance from the 25-foot building setback. So what that's going to allow is a possible larger structure, depending on how it's oriented. Alternate 2 is even more. We're down to 15, so that's a 10-foot variance from the front yard setbacks on these corner lots. So as we approve these preliminary plats, I just want to bring it to your attention that this is on there, and that if we have a motion to approve, we will be approving this scenario that will be applied as buildings are introduced with building permits. When these houses are staked out, they're going to have the ability to choose which one of those they need. Instead of a standard across the board 25-foot at the corner lots, which sometimes constricts these as a corner lot. So,
Kevin, I think we do have those, just to be clear, that the single asterisk and the double asterisk is specified on certain lots on here.
Correct.
So this is not any corner lot somebody could choose to use a smaller setback. It's just on the ones that are specifically noted.
correct, and that's, you know, in the detail, I think I'm dead here, there it goes. We're gonna need some batteries, Tyler. So, when it's labeling side street and things of that nature, you know, we don't really have side streets, but as long as he is indicating which one of those apply to, I'm just forthcoming here, you're allowing a variance for those that are indicated. That's just an FYI. Okay, so that's something to think about.
Are you okay with that? Yes or no? We don't usually do that.
As long as we have room for our utilities, I know in the past, there's been some questions about the 25-foot building setback line, which has been used on other plats from other engineers and things of that nature. They label this 25-foot building setback also a utility and drainage easement. Now, if you picture the house being pushed as far forward as it possibly can, hugged up to that 25-foot building setback, and it is also a utility and drainage easement, that means that utility line could be right at your front steps, okay? What Mr. Spencer has done, and I think it's on these more detailed drawings down low, is he is showing the 25-foot building setback, and he is applying that only to the structure, dropping down to 15, 20, somewhere along in those lines. He is labeling a new easement line there for the utilities. So they have to stay away from that structure. So there's either a 10-foot, 15-foot buffer, whatever Mr. Spencer has labeled these. Now, if the utility company sees these, they agree with those, they sign the plat, we're done. In the reduction of a building setback, he is reducing these down to have an option of spacing on the corner lot and simultaneously not being in any type of specified utility setback. So he's playing both sides of the field, if you will, there, and actually giving a little thought process. The question in the past is, why does the utility companies need the entire 25 feet? And that has various answers to that. To answer your question, Dr. Miller, no, I don't have a problem with it. As long as our utilities are in there, we have spacing and things of that nature. Some of these smaller lots, the building inspection department gets into all of their exhibits and permitting, and they'll find that a structure just won't fit. And it gets into a big dilemma of going back to the builder, shrinking a footprint of a house. In some cases, we have an overall developer here, and they have a certain set of footprints for a house, and now all of a sudden, one just will not fit on the corner lot. What's happening here is the ability, and Stuart has already indicated where these may be with the little asterisks and stuff. So if that footprint needs, then they can choose the alternate, and then that would be relayed in the building inspection department to where they could apply the correct setback to make the footprint work. So I feel like we wallered it to death, but if that's clear, that's just one point I want to bring up. Any questions about that aspect of the plat?
Thank you.
All right, pan me up to the top of this plat. I'm gonna see if I can get my pointer to work here. Right there. I think that is lot 547, maybe. You're speaking about interconnectivity. That is a wonderful place for a street stub out. I'll leave it at that. I've been looking at the comprehensive plan, which I'll talk to you guys later about, but other than that, I love the plan. I love how he has broke up that straight shot through there. We had to actually incorporate some street calming aspects to Phase 7 with a tabletop, what we call a tabletop. It's just a concrete bump, basically, to slow traffic down. I don't have a single problem with any of this, other than the possibility of stubbing out at 547 to the adjacent property.
So that you can have another connection through?
Yes.
To
Yeah.
what? What's it going to connect to?
There is an adjoining farm. It is county, in which, honestly, we stub out to a lot of county. But that is to set up future street interconnectivity. We spoke about another entrance onto Union City Road. Well, I 100% agree. You don't want another street coming out feet within the other. If the next farm, planning ahead, if the next farm gets annexed, this would be a continuation, and then that farm would provide another entrance onto Union City Road far down.
Okay.
And you could meander in and out of here. It's just kind of looking forward to the future, but if this body deems stub out is appropriate there, then we would consider that.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about building on that other farm?
sorry?
Are you thinking about building on that other farm?
No,
I haven't,
not this
it
time.
hasn't been doing that. Yeah, then,
Well, that could be anyone, though.
Because the connectivity will be a problem if you do. you know, and you won't be able to get to the other farm. So that's the reason why he's saying that, because
Well, that could be someone 15 years from now that buys the farm and annexed, and we're all long gone. They would have to connect to that stub out. That's
So,
required.
yeah, so we need to
It's
approve it,
forcing
except for the building of 547, we need to,
If you entertain that idea, I'm
Entertain that.
only
I think that's
sales
smart.
pitching the interconnectivity, just because I know what's going on with the comprehensive plan.
yeah.
I just want to put that out there because we are here at ground zero where this all sort of starts. So
Yeah, I'm
just
glad
bringing
you
that
said
to your attention.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great if the city wants to buy that lot.
Anything else, Kevin?
That is all I have pertaining to Magnolia Point.
Any more questions on this?
I think we should approve it,
I was
except,
getting ready to say, anybody want to make a motion on it?
yeah, to approve it with the removal of 547 as a building lot.
Stub out?
yeah, for future.
Maintain that. Yeah.
Get a
Second.
second?
And that's enough room for,
Yes.
okay.
So just so that I'm clear for the minutes later, the idea would be to approve it, but requesting that 547 not be built on, but instead turned into a stub out for a proposed,
To just
Maybe
provide a
future
stub out near the location of 547, we would work that out later through the plan.
okay. That was Perkins and Dr. Short, right? You were the second,
Second,
right?
yes.
Okay. Commissioner DeGrant?
Yeah.
Commissioner Francis?
Yes.
Commissioner Short?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Miles?
Yes.
Commissioner Still?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Next on the agenda is revision, excuse me, to the development ordinance, section 406.5, allowable land use charts.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I'll open this up. We have taken the liberty to look at our land use charts. There are a few reasons that we have encountered that is going against the grain, trying to compensate for helping the building community along a little easier. Some of these chart uses are well-intended, but sometimes reality sort of gets in the way, especially with existing uses. And after we take a look at them, we start to question, why is something not listed whatsoever? Or is it conditional? Or why is it not permitted? Things of that nature. So we made some corrections. We took the liberty to sit down under the advisement of the Industrial Development Coordinator and our wonderful, well, both are here. Please stand up, introduce yourselves.
I'm David Snipes with the City of Richmond Industrial Development Director.
So with the help of these two fine people, we also started looking at the I-1s, I-2s. Gary has gave us some insight on some of the B1, 2s, 3s, PSPs, things of that nature, along with Tyler and I. And we've had a good sit down. We came up with what's before you. So what you will see in red, what is struck through was the original land use chart. What we are proposing is not struck through, right beside it in red. So, for example, if it was a P and it's struck through and there is a C beside it, it is no longer permitted, but a conditional. So that would bring opportunity for a business owner or a developer to have the opportunity, instead of just being clearly denied, the opportunity to come before the Board of Adjustments and see if it actually makes sense, and giving them that opportunity. In short, I don't want to hit you with shotgun approach here, but some other big changes is down at the end under the medical cannabis. Through our collaborative efforts, we've determined that, there is a necessity for a change at the medical cannabis, which is the last sheet, as a permitted use that seemed to, if you will, maybe have been overlooked. But we're here to correct that, and since we got our hands on it and got the worker bees involved, we feel that what we've got before you makes sense to us. We're certainly open to any questions or changes or additional changes, if you will. So we'll leave it open for questions.
I've got one, I might have overlooked it on here. But these homes now that they're putting, I think it's through the state. I think they got one now in Deacon Hills out there somewhere. It's for rehab on, I don't know, you might.
Yeah, those are based on the, you're talking about, say, like the residential drug rehab, like what Dr. Miller has near him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got one. That's
Those-
federally controlled, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying, that's.
those we can't do anything
No,
about.
we can't
Those
do
are
anything about.
part of ADA, so we can't, yeah.
Okay.
Does this not step on the toes of this discussion that we had back about cannabis and whatnot, that the city didn't want to really be regulating it or really touching it for lack of losing funds?
That's for the workers.
What's happening is that the medicinal cannabis industry that we allow, it was fully approved in the industrial park zones. So we have two columns, I-1 and I-2s. For some reason, the I-2 was not addressed. And we currently have an interested party that meets every specification you could think of, and it's sitting in I-2. And so we need to address the I-2 column as being permitted just as well as it is in the I-1s. And if you'd like to speak on any of it, David,
You're right, Gary.
perfectly fine, but
Gary, you're right.
We're discussing it, but so that's,
Clarify what you're speaking about, Mr. Ford, is, they were talking about actual employees of the city. So, if we, like, if they allow cards as employees of the city, then it could get federal.
okay.
If this is,
What about, I think the bigger thing, Mr. Short and me were talking about was the dispensaries. That has to be regulated by the city or monitored. How does that affect federal funding? Because like Eagle Fiber in Georgetown does medical cannabis, and they grow it there on their site, but they don't sell anything out of that building.
we have different categories of dispensary, cultivators.
That's what
and
I want to know about, not so much the industrial part of it, but the dispensary part of it.
Yeah, David, come
Because they said they were going to stay away from it.
All of these medical cannabis, tier 1 through tier 4, the dispensary, the producers, all that is heavily regulated by the state. They're all subject to licensure requirements. And so, for example, like a dispensary, you're talking about, by law, a dispensary can't be on the same location as a producer or cultivator. It's got to be a different location. And then, same way on the safety compliance facility, it's got to be sited at a separate location. So they're overarching to these in the city, there are state laws that apply to these licenses that dictate where they can be or how close they can be and so forth. So, for example, what Kevin mentioned to, like a tier 3 cannabis cultivator is much larger than a tier 2 in square footage, and they're enclosed. And so, if you had one in I-1, there could be also one located in I-2 that of that size. But I guess getting back to what Gary mentioned, it's a separate thing about the usage of cannabis by the employees.
Right.
So this is our licensed facilities, people that competed, a lottery process and got licensed.
Thank you.
And then, unlike tier 3, for example, there's only a few of those in the state right now that are even permitted.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dave.
What I'm concerned about is that when we were at one of the commission meetings, they said that Kentucky could allow it, but the federal government does not allow it. And if we got involved with marijuana of any way,
That's what I'm trying to get at. It has
yeah,
nothing to do with the use
then we
of
would lose
employees,
our
but-
federal funding.
You see, it's
Well,
used.
we'll
grants.
lose federal funding if any employees were to use it, but this is common. This is, if the employees, if say I went to my doctor and he prescribed it for me, and I were to be following my doctor's orders, we would lose federal funding for that. But this is completely separate from that, and this is, Mr. Stipes has somebody knocking on the door to go into the industrial space. So
I
this
just want to make
is,
sure we didn't lose all our federal
right,
funding.
we wouldn't.
No.
This is completely separate from the other issue.
And in the state, you still can't buy medical marijuana in the state of Kentucky, is that right?
You can very soon.
These medical cannabis, like for example, at the dispensary, somebody's going to have a card,
Right.
approved by card. Once they get approved by card, they can purchase it at the dispensary. But it's heavily regulated, like for example, somebody that has a card can't even go on the site where there's cultivation.
Right.
So again, they've got to buy that to the dispensary. And then the dispensary, like, there's not going to be a dispensary in industrial. Will be a retail type operation, located somewhere else in the city or someplace else where they have license.
So
Yeah,
it's treated
and-
the same
and-
way as we do our bourbon. They can make it, but you ain't selling it. I understand.
And the state approved, we essentially at first largely just followed the state's regulations. And then we've had some phone calls about someone who won the lottery for a dispensary will be setting up in Richmond once they get everything done. So we'll have a dispensary in Richmond if their plans still stay.
I'm not a fan. I'll put that on the record, but
Sure.
that's just me.
Any more questions? Do we need to vote on this, Kevin?
Yes.
It's already been,
No, you need to vote.
Yes.
You need a motion.
Yeah, it'll need to go on to city commission.
no one else have any questions? Can I get a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that we accept the revision to the development ordinance, section 406.5, allowable land use charts
Okay?
As it stands?
as it stands.
I second.
Okay, Commissioner DeGrant,
Yes.
Commissioner Francis,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes?
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miles,
Yes.
Commissioner Estelle.
Yes,
Thanks so much.
thank you, Bill, thank you. Next on the agenda is, got other business, Kevin?
We pulled.
Cool, that one.
Excellent. Other business. Bring us to that chart I want you. What I'd like to bring up is basically the remediation of existing zoning issues. You've heard me speak about zones across the city that, quite frankly, don't make any sense where they are or what they're used for. So I have quite an extensive sheet of paper that I would love to address, but now we're not going to realistically address all of those at one time. So, as an example, this is North Estill. Gosh, my poor pen. North Estill, we've got Urban Street, this is Fairview Court. This is actually a subdivision, my poor little pen, is actually a subdivision that was plotted out, okay? That's an industrial zone. Thank you, John. So this is an industrial zone. And they came in and they put in a subdivision of single-family housing. Now, don't ask me how that happened. That was a long time ago, and I'm sticking to it. So what I would like to address is to actually look at these areas that are platted out and return them to a zone that makes sense. Now, if we're all aware of, we got a lot of industrial coming up and down through here. If I hit this area, I would love to expand just a tiny bit. I would love to reach over here and get this lot, and maybe look at these lots. The industrial setbacks, their simple setback would eat the entire lot. So they're not feasible. So we run into a monstrous amount of problems when we get a development plan. I think there was one right here once upon a time. It came in, we had to go through all these conditional uses, we had to do possible zone change considerations. It was a nightmare to get a development plan off and running.
Isn't there a body shop or something near there?
There's storage here and
Yeah.
here, which we'll deal with, but
Okay.
there was an office building put in here, and then this one, they just tore the house down and built the single-family house back. And this lot, there is no way on God's green earth you could do anything industrial on that lot. It's just not going to happen. In order to pull off an industrial lot with its appropriate setbacks, someone would have to come in, for example, and buy essentially that entire block to pull off something industrial, and it's packing all of its setbacks and things. So, as an example, I would love to start looking at some of these, and with your all's permission, I would start picking some apart and then bringing them to you all. Now, I've spoke with council, and his recommendation was, don't just do a single lot. So I wouldn't bring that, for example, to you for a zone change. And then the next month, bring that one. So what we're going to do is, under his recommendation, is I'm going to pick a bunch of them and not jump all over the city and confuse everybody, but consolidate these things down into little groupings where I know there's issues here, there, and it's not only industrial, it's other zones. It's just, this one is the first one that I would probably attack. But if it is saw fit, we will move forward in a possible courteous zone change by the city, instigated by the city. We would, of course, take care of all of the notifications and the signs, and then you would begin to see these things presented to you for recommendation to the city council.
So they're already industrial?
Yeah, they're industrial.
Kevin, I
That's
mean-
what they are.
Some of them lots, man, they're not even big enough to put a doghouse on them things.
That is correct. So in the consideration of the new zone would be chosen as best fitting the realistic situation. In this case, it's single family, so
Yeah.
we would choose the appropriate R1A, B, or C that best fits it and then rezone it. Not to bring a silly joke here or anything, but this could be torn down and adult entertainment, we would not be able to stop it. It could go in right there.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So, these are things that I call it housekeeping. Now that I'm on board, I've seen these things for 13 years, 14 years, and they've drove me crazy overtime in the field. When I get called to a place, I would show up and they say, what can I do here? I think, oh my gosh, this is an I-2, and I'm looking at a single-family residential lot.
Well, when we went through, we was doing that on Main Street, we went up through there, and that lot right there by the railroad tracks could be for adult entertainment, and we changed
Correct.
the zone on that.
Correct, and this little shade that you see here, this light blue, if you will, or gray, you can kind of see, you can see how big this gets. Okay? That's industrial with these little tiny lots like
No.
that. And not to mention, here I have an agricultural lot sitting in the middle of an industrial usage. Don't ask me how that is there either. It predates me, so I apologize. I don't have an answer for you. But things like that need to be cleaned up. And if you would allow me a blessing to move forward and start choosing some, then that's what I will do and start bringing these to your attention for consideration, discussion, and possible vote.
So we call you the cleaner.
The cleaner? Well, I would certainly entertain that much more than some of the things I get called. But that's a simple presentation on what I'm willing to do. If you guys deem that appropriate, I'll kick off that process for 2025, and it would be ongoing.
Sounds like fun.
Excellent. Update on South Point. I spoke to council. He has reached out for the funds to be pulled by the letter of credit of South Point. We're missing some sidewalk there. He's following up with them. He wasn't here today, so he's supposed to get with me. If I can get a bid under $30,000, it does not have to be advertised. And so I would have the authority to take bids. If the amount of the sidewalk construction is under $30,000, I can choose that person, use that money, and we'll get our sidewalk. So that's sort of where we're at today. My David, Planning and Zone Inspector, he has compiled punch lists for the next phase of overdue letter of credits and so those are subdivisions. It will be our last run. This will be the last bunch that is non-compliant, and we will be cleaned up at that point. And we are working with those already that we've made contact, and things are moving, so hopefully I can get them strung along instead of having to bring them to your attention on TV.
Good work.
Some of you asked on previous meeting where we're at with some of the previous letter of credits. As of today, Autumn Place, that one was voted on for me to decide any additional weather days. So that has been done. Just to let you know, that deadline is up today. Now, what has happened in the field, there is work being performed in the field. So I'm not sure if we are inclined to step in with a hammer if they are working on it, and weather seems to be breaking. So if you would grant me the opportunity to work a little bit longer with them past this deadline, I would greatly appreciate that. Excellent. That's all I have for other business.
I do have something to add for other business because we don't have anything on tiny homes and looking at affordable options for some people. I say that we start looking into that. Is that something we can do, Kevin?
We're looking for what?
Looking into tiny homes and regulating.
Yes, tiny homes. Daniel Abrams and I, we've often on occasion sat down. These have been brought up probably in the past 2 years, and he does not have anything in the Kentucky Building Code that specifies, details of tiny homes. So we're sort of kind of at a standstill, what the state of Kentucky would require for a tiny home. So that's Daniel's problem currently. We don't have a specification for a zone. So if we have a double problem, we don't have a zone that they fit into yet or a development plan that could incorporate such thing. And if we did, we still don't have the Kentucky Building Code backing us up to let Daniel be able to apply standards for building construction and things of that nature. So yes, it is on the radar. I won't say it's in the crosshairs, but we can certainly dig in, and I can bring you a report on the next meeting and let you know precisely where we stand and what is hindering us.
Well, Mr. DeGrant said a minute ago, I think it's a good point, is that, the Kentucky legislator said that local areas can use industrial money, mods, and move from industrial over to condominiums, townhouses, and apartments. and they can give the contractors lower interest rates by doing that. Does the city have any interest in doing that?
I don't know myself. That'd have to be something we'd have to reach
For
out.
affordable homes, affordable places?
I know affordable housing is a hot item.
They're just trying to make it easier with lower interest rates that they can move something over from industrial over to that. So-
Mhm.
And that's not a bad idea at all.
And if you're modifying some of the areas off Estill Avenue from industrial to residential, maybe some of those areas might.
They would be proposed. As we branch out, and David is here, I would certainly get with David. He's my liaison. If anything's got an I-1 or I-2, I won't do anything without consulting David. So we all work together. So if he seems to think that, certainly that could remain, just staring at it here. That could remain, this could remain. It could be this whole side, but then you get contaminated with these little, this is an auto body shop or mechanic shop, and apparently it's got 3 lots to it. But anyway, we would discuss that, and before I brought anything to you, there would be a thought process applied to the realistic use of the tracts of ground. So we're just not going to throw a dart and say, oh, we're going to get every one of these. We're going to try to do a one and done and do something that would benefit the community. That way, when they look at this, they're not just looking at an abandoned house as an I-2. Well, I'm not buying that. I can't do nothing with it. If it's rezoned and it's a little tiny lot and it's a residential lot, we are already seeing builders starting to soak up these decrepitated houses. They buy them, they tear them down. That's happening across the board, and they're rebuilding new ones. So they're coming infield a little bit, snagging a few things because we had a little bit of a lull in subdivisions. So, and you all well know, we've not seen too many subdivisions here of late. We've got Carriage
Some of the
Place.
streets downtown, they've done a nice job. Like Second Street, they've done a nice job with some of the housing.
Correct. And when they rebuild
They've done
and
a
do
very
things
nice
like that, we require the sidewalks, and we start to put the city back together with new construction and cleaning things up. So the infield development, I'm pretty excited about because it takes care of a lot of things. It helps code enforcement. It brings to light Section 8 housing, when they put these things back together. It provides a lot of opportunity, and I'm glad it's happening.
Yeah, it's just like that on Fairview, that Fairview Court there, something like that is nice, although it's in the wrong zoning, but I mean, they've done that, and then right up on the corner, there's been 2 more built up on the corner of Fairview and Linden right there.
Yeah,
They built
this one is being constructed today, and it's going back as a house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it needs to be rezoned. And, some of these folks, they're not going to initiate that. But it would certainly help our zone map to be, more contiguous to what's out there.
Now, before we adjourn, how about, we spent a lot of time on short-term rentals.
Well, I have a
Now the
director's
Senate
report.
Now the Senate Bill 61 has come in. What are we going to do now?
Well, as you know, the short-term rental ordinance is in effect, and they were supposed to vote on that, I believe,
It's already done deal.
Yep.
and what was it?
Senate's voted on it, House has voted on it. That short-term rental thing is passed from the Kentucky legislature.
And I believe the last thing we read was that it was 500 feet or density.
Dr. Miller's saying that it passed the state, is what you're saying.
There is no,
Right, and
there's
so
no change on density.
it's what we looked at, that we lost our distance restriction and lost our density
Yes, we got to
restriction.
change the distance.
Correct.
Yep,
But we have the
Maybe if
rest.
you want.
But we have the rest of it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, But that's a big change. But are we going to do the same thing about inspecting and doing things like that? Is that what we're going to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stop us from doing that.
It shouldn't.
Everything else will remain the same, just the distance will be out of our hands.
Yep. And within the director's report here, apologize, Mr. Chairman, we'll just fly into that. We have 5 already going to the Board of Adjustments. Initially, that was one of the issues was proximity. They're actually next door. So we'll have to go through that process of parking and things of that nature and how that's going to apply. But they are going to the Board of Adjustments, and we would certainly not be asking for any type of variance or excusal from proximity because it doesn't apply now. So we'll have to address our ordinance as to what is realistic to it currently at the Board of Adjustments meeting in next
2 weeks.
2 weeks, 2 weeks from now. So we'll sharpen our pencil on that meeting before we have it and make sure that we're following the rules. So I blew my director's report. The first item on my director's report was to introduce you to Miss Deborah Lavasser. She is our newest member of the Planning and Zoning team.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
She is now our clerk, and what we're doing today is that in the event that Tyler does not get to grace you with his wonderful presence, is that Deborah here will be his fill-in to do minutes and take motions. So we're happy to have her. We have secured a contract with the county, if you've not heard, pertaining to the GIS. We have already started the transfer of some of our line work and things of that nature. Hopefully by next week, we'll actually start the big data transfer, which will have that program in full swing, that we'll have hands-on buttons to where we can push single buttons and do wonderful things instead of repetitive work that's been going on for about 27 years. So that's about to come to an end. Comp plan update, just to give you an idea, I'm up to about 37 future transportation routes and connections. You just witnessed one of them today, Magnolia Point. You were concerned with one way in, one way out. Now we're going to get a second one. Well, in the comp plan, I have found multiple ways out. So we don't want to have a spoiler alert here, but overall, there will be a minimum of 4 out of there.
Oh, good.
Especially thanks to you all with your motion tonight that added another one. So thank you all very much for that. We've made contact, talking about affordable housing, deemed it necessary. I've been a big fan of the collaboration of all departments. So with the help of the fire department, code enforcement, planning and zoning, I reached out to Section 8. We had a meeting. Apparently, it's the first time anything like that had ever happened. And what we have discovered is that their inspector and how they do things, they get to go inside. So that brings to light a lot of things that we can be aware of. We can help them with mapping standards. Code enforcement is stepping up and going to aid them in enforcement, to clean up in and around these homes, to aid in that. And the fire marshal is very welcome to go and aid in any inspections. And in turn, they're going to provide the fire marshal with apparent state recordation inspections for multifamily situations. So they're going to share those inspections, because if they pass Section 8, it qualifies good for the fire marshal. So that's one less thing he has to do for the 800 vouchers that they have. So we've discovered a wonderful way to collaborate with each other and include each other in what we do. You were speaking prior to the meeting about Hampton Way 210. We have currently, on our own, we have done a self-audit, and it is continuing. Of course, we all know that happened about 23 years ago. Again, don't ask me how that occurred. We do know the facts. But in light of that situation, the very next day, we began an audit on our own. We have started present day, thanks to Tyler and some others, we're down to 2017. We have checked it twice to make sure that this zone map is correct, and we're not stopping at 2017. We're actually waiting on a new program that has an insightful search engine. Once it is up and running from IT, we're going to be granted access to that search engine, and we're going to search again. And we're going to make sure that this map is law and that it is 100% correct. That is all I have for you tonight.
Thank you. Does anybody else got any questions? Oh, I'm gonna ask you one. You was talking about those tiny houses. Is it gonna be a certain area for them?
There is, honestly, there is no thought to it yet, other than just what's in the back pocket or in the back of your mind. We have never went into looking at a zone or creating a brand-new zone or looking at agriculture or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
We're rolling this around on our tongues, trying to figure out, and to be honest, until we get some building standards, I'm not so sure we need to be proactive on our end, because we're gonna have the cart in front of the horse. But certainly, if standards come out from Kentucky Building Codes, then that is absolutely something that we could entertain as far as an appropriate zone or a brand-new zone.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions? I'll get a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yep.